As a prominent figure in one of the most powerful automotive companies in the world, Akio Toyoda, the chairman of Toyota, recently shocked the automotive industry with an explosive revelation about the state of the car market. His insights carry significant weight, and his remarks have caused analysts and industry participants to consider the ramifications. Before we start smashing the like, Toyota, a longtime vocal supporter of balanced innovation in the mobility space, unveiled a vision of the auto industry that questions accepted beliefs about its future. Additionally, there are buttons to subscribe for more updates in his remarks. Toyota emphasized that the automotive industry is at a crossroads, with a complex interplay of consumer demands shaping its trajectory. His message was clear: even though the world is rushing toward electrification, there are still many obstacles in the way. This was made possible by environmental regulations and technological advancements. Toyota's observations provided a complex picture of a sector that needs to strike a balance between aspiration and reality. Fast, sustainable innovation, combined with long-term planning. A critical analysis of the electrification race that has engulfed the global auto market in recent years was at the heart of his revelation. Electric cars. The automotive industry is not a monolith, and consumer needs across regions and demographics are far from uniform. For example, even though EV adoption is on the rise in developed markets like Europe and North America, many developing regions still heavily rely on internal combustion engines. Toyota stressed that this singular focus might oversimplify the challenges facing the industry. EVs has been heralded as the panacea for carbon emissions and environmental concerns. Automobiles because of financial and infrastructure limitations. This discrepancy, Toyota contended that a more varied approach to mobility solutions is required. While EVs make headlines, one of the most remarkable parts of Toyota's revelation was his appeal for a more comprehensive technological viewpoint. He highlighted the potential of hybrid cars, hydrogen fuel cells, and synthetic fuels as essential elements of a sustainable automotive future. Under his direction, Toyota has long promoted hybrid technology as a means of bridging the gap between fully electrified vehicles and ICE vehicles. His focus on hydrogen fuel cells in particular demonstrated how they could help battery electric vehicles reach carbon neutrality, particularly in heavy-duty transportation applications where batteries alone might not be sufficient. Toyota's remarks also shed light on the challenges automakers face in meeting global sustainability targets. While governments worldwide are setting aggressive deadlines to phase out ICE vehicles, the availability of raw materials like lithium for batteries and the energy grid's ability to support mass electrification are just two examples of the many obstacles the industry must overcome in order to achieve these goals in practice. Toyota's open admission of these difficulties highlighted the necessity of a more practical schedule and a comprehensive strategy to achieve sustainability. Another important aspect of Toyota's revelation was his emphasis on consumer behavior and how it affects the auto industry. Even though EVs is gaining traction, a sizable percentage of buyers are still reluctant to switch. Many prospective buyers are still turned off by worries about upfront costs and range anxiety charging infrastructure. According to Toyota's analysis, automakers need to do more than just build cars. They also need to deal with these obstacles directly to guarantee that they are widely adopted. He also underlined that the car, instead of adopting a one-size-fits-all approach, the market's future rests on developing products that speak to a variety of consumer needs. Toyota also examined the financial effects of the automotive industry's continuous transformation, noting that the switch from ICE vehicles to EVs necessitates a drastic change in production methods, workforce dynamics, and supply chains. Toyota cautioned that such investments must be made carefully, taking into account both short-term market realities and long-term sustainability, even though many automakers are spending billions on retooling factories, creating new technologies, and preparing workers for the electric era. His observations highlighted the fine line automakers must walk between fostering innovation and preserving their financial stability. The evolution of the automobile market is further influenced by the geopolitical environment. Toyota made clear with precision that nations are engaged in fierce competition to gain leadership in battery production, semiconductor manufacturing, and green energy technologies as a result of the race for EV technology dominance. This competition has significant ramifications for international trade, economic stability, and supply chains. Toyota's perspective underscored the need for international collaboration to ensure that the transition to sustainable mobility does not exacerbate inequalities or geopolitical tensions beyond the immediate challenges. Toyota's revelation offered a vision of the automotive industry's potential to drive meaningful change on a global scale. He presented the automobile industry as a potent tool for tackling larger societal issues, such as lowering carbon emissions and generating economic opportunities. However, in order to fully realize this potential, automakers, governments, and other stakeholders must work together to align their objectives and strive toward common goals. Toyota's emphasis on collaboration was a poignant reminder that no single entity can navigate the complexities of this transformation alone. One particularly compelling aspect of Toyota's remarks was his focus on innovation as a holistic endeavor. While technological advancements in vehicles themselves are critical, he highlighted the importance of parallel innovations in energy infrastructure, manufacturing practices, and recycling technologies. For instance, building a robust network of charging stations is essential for accelerating EV adoption. But this network must also be powered by renewable energy to deliver true environmental benefits. Similarly, improvements in material recovery and battery recycling are essential to guaranteeing the long-term viability of EV production. Cars are more than just means of transportation, according to Toyota's vision, which also encompasses the cultural and societal aspects of the automotive sector. Since they are intricately woven into people's identities, communities, and daily lives, the adoption of new mobility solutions must be done in a way that respects and maintains these cultural quirks. Whether it's creating automobiles that suit a range of lifestyles or guaranteeing fair access to sustainable mobility, it is the duty of automakers to take into account the human aspect of their work. When considering the wider ramifications of Toyota's revelation, it is evident that the automotive industry is about to undergo a significant period of change. Although the road ahead for the car market is undoubtedly full of uncertainties, Toyota's insights offer a roadmap for navigating these complexities. The challenges and opportunities Toyota outlined highlight the need for a paradigm shift in how automakers approach their roles in society. This shift goes beyond simply building better cars. It involves reimagining the very concept of mobility in a way that aligns with the evolving needs of people and the planet. His focus on diversifying. As the automotive industry grapples with the ramifications of his revelation, innovation and teamwork act as a guiding light for a sector attempting to strike a balance between ambition and responsibility. There is no doubt that the decisions made today will influence mobility for future generations. Toyota's open assessment of the state of the auto industry has spurred a pressing discussion about what it means to create an inclusive and sustainable automotive future. His vision pushes automakers to adopt a more holistic approach to innovation, whether that means creating technologies that meet regional demands, tackling the realities of resource and infrastructure limitations, or promoting global collaboration. Toyota's message is an urgent appeal for the industry to step up to the plate. In addition to shedding light on the intricacies of the auto industry, Toyota's revelations have highlighted the urgent need for the sector to reconsider its goals beyond electrification. His comments encourage a more thorough examination of the systemic and structural changes required for the automotive industry to develop in an ethical and efficient manner. One of the main topics Toyota indirectly addressed in his vision was the role of innovation in tackling inequality in the automotive sector, which, due to its global reach, frequently makes regional and population disparities worse. For example, the price of electric vehicles is primarily set for wealthy markets, excluding a sizable section of the world's population. This economic disparity begs the question of how automakers can guarantee that the advantages of advanced technologies are shared fairly. Toyota's recognition of the various needs of its customers leads to a discussion about inclusive design, how to make cars available not only in terms of geography, but also in terms of socio-economic status. In addition to cost, infrastructure differences also have a big impact on who can profit from electrification. While urban areas in developed nations are quickly implementing EV charging stations, rural areas and emerging markets frequently lack the essential infrastructure needed to support these vehicles. In order to bridge this gap, the global auto industry must not only develop new product lines but also work with public and private organizations to create the ecosystem required for sustainable mobility to flourish globally. One important component of the market that Toyota's vision subtly emphasizes is the role of alternative ownership models. As traditional car ownership may no longer be the most popular model subscription as mobility advances, vehicle design production, volumes and automakers' revenue streams are being influenced by services like ride-hailing apps and car-sharing platforms, which are changing how consumers view access to vehicles. For example, cars used in shared mobility systems must be constructed to withstand higher utilization rates, necessitating the use of more durable materials and components. For automakers, this shift in ownership models offers both a challenge and an opportunity to innovate in ways that suit changing consumer preferences. Even though electrification promises to reduce emissions at the tailpipe, a vehicle's life cycle emissions, including those from production, operation, and disposal, remain a serious concern. Toyota's statements regarding sustainability emphasize the necessity for automakers to take a comprehensive approach that takes into account these life cycle impacts, from developing effective manufacturing processes and advancing end-of-life recycling technologies to sourcing raw materials responsibly. For example, the price of electric vehicles is primarily set for wealthy markets, excluding a sizable section of the world's population. This economic disparity begs the question of how automakers can guarantee that the advantages of advanced technologies are shared fairly. Toyota's recognition of the various needs of its customers leads to a discussion about inclusive design, how to make cars available not only in terms of geography, but also in terms of socio-economic status. In addition to cost, infrastructure differences also have a big impact on who can profit from electrification. While urban areas in developed nations are quickly implementing EV charging stations, rural areas and emerging markets frequently lack the essential infrastructure needed to support these vehicles. In order to bridge this gap, the global auto industry must not only develop new product lines but also work with public and private organizations to create the ecosystem required for sustainable mobility to flourish globally. One important component of the market that Toyota's vision subtly emphasizes is the role of alternative ownership models. As traditional car ownership may no longer be the most popular model subscription as mobility advances, vehicle design production, volumes and automakers' revenue streams are being influenced by services like ride-hailing apps and car-sharing platforms, which are changing how consumers view access to vehicles. For example, cars used in shared mobility systems must be constructed to withstand higher utilization rates, necessitating the use of more durable materials and components. For automakers, this shift in ownership models offers both a challenge and an opportunity to innovate in ways that suit changing consumer preferences. Even though electrification promises to reduce emissions at the tailpipe, a vehicle's life cycle emissions, including those from production, operation, and disposal, remain a serious concern. Toyota's statements regarding sustainability emphasize the necessity for automakers to take a comprehensive approach that takes into account these life cycle impacts, from developing effective manufacturing processes and advancing end-of-life recycling technologies to sourcing raw materials responsibly. The automotive industry needs to consider its environmental impact from all angles. The effect on the workforce is one of the less talked about but no less important aspects of this shift. The change from internal, the transition from combustion engines to electric drivetrains necessitates a distinct skill set, which has important ramifications for employment in traditional manufacturing roles in the automotive industry, may decrease as the need for software expertise grows. Renewable energy systems and battery technology. As this shift occurs, there are two challenges: retraining current employees and drawing in fresh talent for the sector. Toyota's realistic assessment of the automotive industry highlights the necessity for automakers to make investments in workforce development to guarantee a seamless transition that benefits both workers and the sector overall. Another essential component of the change is advancements in battery technology. Although lithium-ion batteries currently rule the EV market, Toyota noted that they have drawbacks such as cost, resource limitations, and environmental issues. The competition to create next-generation batteries, like solid-state or sodium-ion alternatives, is getting more intense. These technologies promise faster charging times, lower costs, and higher energy densities. Dependency on limited resources. Such developments are explicitly supported by Toyota's vision of a diversified technological approach, since they have the potential to address some of the most urgent electrification challenges. The car market's geopolitical aspects revolution also merits further investigation as the sixth leading nation in green technologies. The global power struggle revolves around the automotive industry. Tensions with nations looking to secure their supply chains have already arisen as a result of control over vital resources like nickel, cobalt, and lithium. In this situation, Toyota's appeal for global cooperation becomes especially relevant in the absence of a concerted effort to guarantee equitable and sustainable resource distribution. The auto industry could turn into a fascinating aspect of Toyota's vision is the role of digitalization in the auto industry, where the integration of software and connectivity in cars is turning them into platforms for a wide range of services, from entertainment to autonomous driving. This is a battleground for economic and political dominance that undermines the very goals of sustainability and inclusivity that the company seeks to achieve. Automakers now have more options to diversify their revenue sources thanks to the convergence of the automotive and technology sectors. But it also raises concerns about data privacy, cybersecurity, and the moral application of technology. According to Toyota's comprehensive approach to innovation, these issues need to be resolved early on in order to win over customers and guarantee the long-term sustainability of digitalized mobility solutions. While much of the attention has been on the technological obstacles to reaching complete autonomy, autonomous driving in particular stands out as a transformative force in the industry. Autonomous vehicles have equally important societal ramifications. Although AVS can decrease traffic accidents, improve mobility for marginalized communities, and change urban landscapes by lowering the demand for parking spaces, their widespread use also raises questions about job displacement for drivers, regulatory obstacles, and the moral quandaries associated with machine decision-making. the auto industry must manage these complex issues. While the transition to electric and autonomous vehicles represents a technological advancement, it also has the potential to change the relationship between people and their vehicles. Because many cars are more than just a means of transportation, they are symbols of freedom, status, and identity. As the industry moves toward more standardized utilitarian designs for EVs and AVs, it runs the risk of losing some of this emotional resonance. This is another aspect of Toyota's insights, which carefully balance the promise of AVs with the potential risks they entail. While adopting new technologies, automakers must figure out how to maintain the intangible elements that make cars a cherished aspect of human culture. One of the most important takeaways from Toyota's comments is the necessity of long-term planning in a sector that is frequently dominated by immediate demands. Reports on quarterly earnings. Due to market competition and regulatory deadlines, quick fixes are valued more highly than long-term plans. Toyota's viewpoint pushes automakers to see beyond these short-term demands and think about the bigger picture when making decisions. This mentality change calls for strong leadership, a readiness to invest in unproven technologies, and a dedication to principles that go beyond profit margins. How alliances and partnerships shaped the vehicle. It is impossible to overestimate the market's future, and no single automaker has the means or know-how to address every obstacle associated with the shift to sustainable mobility on its own. Building the infrastructure, technologies, and policies required to support the industry's evolution will require cooperation between governments, energy providers, and automakers. Toyota's focus on cooperation and diversification highlights how crucial these partnerships are to generating significant advancements as the auto industry changes. Its course will be greatly influenced by consumer education. For example, a large number of prospective EV buyers are still unaware of the advantages and restrictions of electric vehicles. Even as automakers make progress in removing practical barriers like range and cost, adoption can still be hampered by skepticism and false information. According to Toyota's insight, automakers have an obligation to inform consumers about the benefits and viability of sustainable mobility, in addition to innovating. The car market is further complicated by the confluence of urbanization and climate change. The need for innovative mobility solutions will grow as cities expand and struggle with problems like air pollution and traffic. Urban planning and transportation policies will need to incorporate new technologies like EVs and AVs, while simultaneously encouraging alternate forms of transportation like walking, bicycling, and public transportation. Toyota's goal of a diverse approach to mobility is in line with the requirement for all-encompassing plans that take into account the particular difficulties presented by urban settings. The Akio. There are many interconnected aspects of this global shift that require attention, from the redefinition of mobility to the convergence of technologies that shape the future of transportation. Toyota's recent revelations about the car market provide an opportunity to delve even deeper into the complexities of the automotive industry's transformation beyond what has already been discussed. The implications of Toyota's vision are extensive and far-reaching. The idea of mobility itself serves as a fundamental component of this discussion. Throughout history, the car has been associated with individual liberty and self-reliance. Automobiles have long been associated with the capacity to travel great distances, link communities, and access opportunities that would otherwise be unavailable. Out of reach, but as Toyota has subtly stated, the paradigm of mobility is shifting, with an emphasis on integrated and sustainable shared transportation systems that reinterpret the role of the individual car in this changing environment. The car becomes a part of a larger ecosystem of solutions created to meet the various needs of people, while tackling global issues like pollution, traffic, and climate change. As the market moves towards shared and autonomous mobility, the criteria for vehicle design are changing. In shared fleets, durability, efficiency, and ease of maintenance take precedence over personalization, and automakers must now adapt to this new reality by rethinking their portfolios and investing in modular design that can be tailored for specific use cases. This shift has significant implications for how cars are designed and manufactured. For much of the 20th and early 21st centuries, automakers prioritized vehicles that catered to individual ownership and personal preferences, which led to a variety of options across categories like luxury, performance, and utility. Among the most fascinating facets of this development is how urban planning shapes the future of mobility. Cities are leading the way in the transportation revolution by experimenting with infrastructure and policies that promote environmentally friendly travel. Although dedicated lanes for electric and driverless vehicles, low-emission zones, and congestion pricing are becoming more widespread, these programs necessitate collaboration between automakers and urban planners. Since the success of new mobility solutions depends on their integration into urban life, Toyota's vision emphasizes the significance of such collaboration. The role of artificial intelligence is another crucial area of focus. AI's role in influencing the auto industry's future. AI is already turning cars into intelligent, networked machines that can make decisions in real time to improve convenience, safety, and efficiency. Perhaps the most obvious use of AI in the automotive sector is autonomous driving, but its potential goes far beyond predictive maintenance. As vehicles become more intelligent, automakers must address the ethical and regulatory issues surrounding AI to make sure that its implementation is consistent with societal norms and expectations. Personalized infotainment and adaptive navigation are just two examples of the areas where AI is having an impact. Another area where innovation is accelerating is energy management, partly due to Toyota's focus on diverse approaches to sustainability. The limitations of the current energy infrastructure, particularly with regard to grid capacity and integration of renewable energy, have been brought to light by the shift to electric vehicles. In addition to addressing energy challenges, smart charging systems, vehicle-to-grid V2G technologies, and decentralized energy production are emerging as potential solutions to these problems by allowing vehicles to function as both energy suppliers and consumers. These technologies can help balance the grid and encourage the use of renewable resources, but their widespread adoption necessitates significant stakeholder coordination and investment. The environmental effects of the materials used in vehicle production are another issue facing the auto industry. Although lightweight materials like carbon fiber, aluminum, and advanced composites are crucial for increasing fuel economy and expanding the range of electric vehicles, their extraction and processing can have detrimental effects on the environment. To lessen their environmental impact, automakers are increasingly looking into alternative materials like recycled metals and bio-based composites. These initiatives support Toyota's demand for a comprehensive strategy for sustainability that takes into account a car's whole life cycle. Another significant development in the automotive sector is the adoption of circular economy concepts. Trend. Automakers are reconsidering their approach to production and consumption as worries about waste and resource scarcity increase. They are creating closed-loop systems and designing vehicles for disassembly, with an emphasis on reusable parts. Every supply chain strategy aims to maximize resource efficiency and reduce waste. By increasing the value of materials and products, these practices not only lessen their negative effects on the environment, but also open up new business opportunities. A change in perspective that is consistent with the forward-looking thinking viewpoint is reflected in the incorporation of circular economy principles. Toyota promotes consumer behavior, pointing out that the auto industry is going through a generational transition that cannot be disregarded. Younger consumers are more likely to value sustainability technology and experiences over conventional status markers like luxury or performance, so automakers must adjust to these shifting public relations references by providing cars and services that fit these demographics' values and lifestyles. Millennials and Gen Z, who are the market's future, have different priorities and expectations than previous generations. By showcasing their dedication to innovation and social responsibility, automakers can also take advantage of this change to increase brand loyalty among younger consumers. Policies aimed at lowering carbon emissions, encouraging clean energy, and encouraging the adoption of electric vehicles are driving much of the industry's transformation. But the regulatory landscape is far from uniform, with different regions adopting varying approaches and timelines. This makes the role of governments and regulatory bodies informing the future of the automobile market another crucial dimension. Automakers face difficulties navigating a patchwork of standards while preserving their global competitiveness as a result of this lack of consistency. Toyota's focus on teamwork emphasizes the necessity of unified regulations that foster innovation and guarantee fair competition for all market players. The relationship between mobility and health is a developing field of study that makes cars even more complicated. The change in the market. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the significance of cleanliness and security in transit, which raised demand for contactless vehicles, air purification systems, and technologies. Beyond the pandemic, the importance of transportation for public health is becoming more widely acknowledged, as it improves access to healthcare and other vital services, while lowering air pollution. By creating cars and systems that put well-being first, automakers can help create healthier communities. The automobile industry is changing its relationship with other industries as it develops. New opportunities for cross-industry collaboration and innovation are being created by the convergence of the automotive technology and energy sectors. For instance, automakers are collaborating with tech companies to develop advanced software for autonomous driving, while energy providers are collaborating with vehicle manufacturers to construct charging infrastructure. These partnerships are crucial for tackling the complex issues of the mobility transition and developing integrated solutions that are advantageous to all parties involved. Although the global automotive industry operates on a large scale, cultural differences also have a significant impact on how the car market develops in the future. Regional differences in consumer preferences and market dynamics are particularly noticeable in nations with dense urban populations. In places with large rural areas, larger and more rugged vehicles are more common than compact and efficient ones. Cars are still in demand, so automakers hoping to thrive in a variety of markets must comprehend and accommodate these cultural quirks. Toyota's focus on a varied approach to mobility is in line with the requirement to acknowledge and address these. Another intriguing topic to investigate is regional variations in the psychological and emotional aspects of mobility. Cars are more than just useful tools. They are also places of connection, inspiration, and joy. The cultural significance of cars is largely derived from the sensory experience of driving, the sense of accomplishment that comes with owning a vehicle, and the memories made on road trips. As the automotive industry moves toward autonomous and electric vehicles, it must figure out how to maintain these emotional ties. For example, manufacturers could include elements that improve the driving experience or produce designs that embrace modernity while evoking nostalgia. The auto industry's future also depends on its capacity to foresee and adjust to new technologies. From advanced robotics to quantum computing, a variety of innovations have the potential to significantly alter the automotive sector. For instance, quantum computing could transform battery chemistry by making it possible to discover new materials with previously unheard-of efficiency. Advanced robotics has the potential to revolutionize manufacturing processes, making them safer, quicker, and more environmentally friendly. Keeping up with these technological trends necessitate an investment in research and development, as well as a dedication to lifelong learning. Finally, the car's philosophical implications. The changes in the market demand consideration. Building machines is only one aspect of the industry's mission. Another is influencing human mobility and its place in society. This duty necessitates a careful process that takes into account the moral, environmental, and social implications of each choice. The transformation of the automobile market is one of the most important developments of our time, affecting every sphere of society and the economy. Toyota's vision serves as a reminder that the decisions made by automakers today will have a lasting impact on the world, influencing not only how we travel, but also how we live and interact with one another. The Akio journey ahead is both exciting and challenging, and the decisions made today will define the future of mobility for generations to come. If you enjoy this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. Please leave your thoughts below and let us know what you think about Akio Toyoda's revelations about the car market. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you next time. Toyota's insights provide a compelling framework for understanding this complex landscape and navigating its challenges with clarity and purpose as the industry continues to evolve.